remember March 2020 very well because my kids were on spring break. They didn't go back to school afterwards, and it was crazy. And so it was right then too that I also remember starting to see those reports of deer walking down Main Street in, Denver. Just odd stuff because everything was suddenly this ghost town.
This is called in the literature the anthropause. When it's quiet, lots of rare and unusual species feel like they can come out. Teresa and I tend to collaborate on community science, sort of the creation of the digital tools that are used in sort of the biodiversity community science. So those are the web pages, that's the backend database, that's the data sharing.
We have a series of webinars happening. There are tons of programs that fall under this umbrella of citizen science or community science or even public participation in research. Folks that don't necessarily have formal science backgrounds or science degrees are participating in scientific research. And the most common way in which they participate is by collecting observations, contributing data. If something happened really early, so what? Do we see that something this early commonly, or is it truly anomalous? And so this year, through this platform that we launched in 2009, we've now amassed well over 40 million records.
So as COVID was materializing and moving forward, we saw an uptick in participation, an uptick in people wanting to know more, an uptick in people engaging. You certainly saw it with the birding world.
And I remember when COVID hit, what are we gonna do? Like, my whole job is centered on getting people together. So starting the end of March 2020, I just started doing 2, 3, sometimes 4 different Zoom events a week, trying to build up community.
I always find that the best way to inspire people is to be with them. So we got to be with each other, whether it's virtually like this, or even better, being on location.
And when it first started, it was 50 to 60, but by the end of the year, we're regularly having 200, 250, 300 people at our virtual events. And it just kept growing.
Anyone else have a story they'd like to share?
Numerous people that have shared with me, Luke, you saved my life that year. Getting to know the birds changed me. I remember one time I was working out in the backyard and my first and only black-tailed gnatcatcher came through. And I was like, oh man, I would have never seen that if I hadn't been working outside instead of at my gym. And I remember keeping a yard list that year. There's been no other year that's touched that as far as how many birds I've seen in my backyard. It's hard to be still. And even more so on the inside, because you got all the anxiety and thoughts and voices and all this stuff that's going on. But when you can just sit there and just take it in, yeah, you notice a lot more, you hear a lot more.
That certainly was a theme throughout that whole period, was just trying to find peace and calm wherever I could. And honestly, the best source of that then and now was in nature. And it was in even these basic discoveries in my, very suburban, tiny backyard. I remember waking up to seeing my hummingbird feeders completely empty and not knowing why. My husband happened to have an old game cam and we were capturing the bat migration. And so I made a point the next time that I couldn't sleep of sitting near where the hummingbird feeder was, and it was a magnificent sight. It was so cool to see these bats swooping in and out of there silently, so many of them. And it went on for hours.
Summer of 2021 was definitely special here in Southeast Arizona because of the winter rains. We had a lot more insects, and when you have more insects, those are more snacks for birds. My personal favorite is certainly in butterflies. So I study butterflies, and the plants that they feed on as caterpillars. And when you look for butterflies, a lot of the similar skills are going to come into play as when you look for birds. You'll use binoculars, you'll have to look for sudden movement, you'll be paying attention to color and pattern. COVID had many downsides, for sure, but one of the upsides was being able to take a moment and reflect and notice things. And maybe that's something we can take away moving forward, is that it's a good idea to build quiet into your practice of living.
Just to slow down. I think I've forgotten that a little bit. I think a lot of us have. You know, like, it really forces us to slow down and think about what's important. The people are most important. I mean, birds, yes. But, you know, that's what really moves us to appreciate and to take care of the wildlife around us, is taking care of the people around us first.
Hi, I'm Tom McNamara, host of Arizona Illustrated. Thank you for watching this Arizona Illustrated story here on YouTube. And if you like that one, well, here's another story we think you'll like.